Welcome, everybody, to the Black and White History Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe. We are your hosts, Christian, and...
You know what we need? We need people with swords.
We need a better intro. That's really
I like our intros. We've been doing it for a year now, and we can't stop. We haven't been doing it for a year.
It feels like 10. But,
well, when you're talking about...
We've been stuck in the 19th century for a while.
Chester G. Chesterton, it's just, oh, good Lord, they all have the same mustache. Anyways, we need people's swords again. People would be way less likely to talk crap if they knew some dude with a big, sharp metal stick was, like, right over there. I'm just saying.
Well, we're going to be talking about... Well, actually, I guess it'll be a while before we start talking about war again.
Dang it. I'm Jordan.
Yeah, James Garfield and Chester, so we're going to do
a double whammy.
Ep. And so,
never say that.
Yeah.
Never do that again. A two pres ep. 6-7.
Yeah. I mean, you know, all the kids know James Garfield.
Oh, all the kids love
yeah.
Jimmy G.
Yeah.
I'm gonna apologize in advance. I will say Andrew Garfield. I know what his name is, but I'm going to say Andrew Garfield.
It's a common mistake. I mean, his middle name starts with an A.
Yeah, so it's not my fault. It's his fault.
One of our shorter presidents.
Yeah.
I guess behind William
Harrison.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, also Henryson.
Just a Henryson. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. I almost said Andrew. James Garfield is next in line, and you know what? This is another one of those what if kind of deals.
Mm-hmm. He is known as the true what if president.
Yeah. I really like him. So he's also from Ohio. He's from Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And
he was general in the Civil War.
In the Civil War, he put himself through college. He think he was like a janitor or something in college. Super smart.
And really new to the political ring up until when he was president.
Yeah. Yeah, and he became president under odd circumstances too.
Yeah, right.
Not necessarily corrupt, but unique. Mm-hmm. So, Civil War general, super smart, college educated. Usually, you don't get both of those. Mm-hmm. You usually get a smart guy or a fighter.
A guy who's good with a gun, or a guy who's good with a book.
Basically,
you can't get both.
Yeah, it's rare to have both. So, but that was Garfield. He was both. And so, in kind of the middle of the Civil War, he gets a call from his home state to become a senator for that state and leave his commission as general. And he's kind of waffling back and forth because a big part of going to the Civil War was like a courage, manliness type thing. Mm-hmm. And so he didn't want to be seen as like abandoning his men in the middle of the war. But Abraham Lincoln said, "Nah, dog. I've got Sherman. I've got Grant. I've got other guys that I don't like as much, but we've got guys. What I don't really have is a firm Senate seat, and I'm gonna need all of those at this point in the war. So you go do that. Go be a senator." So he does.
Or in House.
I thought it was a senator.
It was a House of Representatives.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Go be a representative.
We know more than we look. We're just.
I don't.
We already recorded a whole other episode.
I don't. I make no bones about it.
Someone who we talked about Hayes, mm-hmm. and one-term president, which I didn't mention this, but he did say at the beginning of his term he was just going to do one term only, mm-hmm. and that's why he brought up why don't we just do 1 6-year term?
I don't want 2 terms. I just want 1.5.
Yeah, and so he ends up leaving not real popular because of the circumstances on that. You can look at our episode with that, but there ends up being some weird names thrown into the hat for the presidency next, and James Garfield is not one of those names that was thrown into the hat. One was so the Senator James Blaine, mm-hmm. who was popular, during that time. Kind of a Garfield style, like one focused on all the corruption mm-hmm. stuff. So he was. There's 2 groups of people. You have the stalwarts, who really liked giving people government jobs who didn't deserve it, known as the spoil system.
Hey, it's effective, kind of. I mean, not for the people, but for like getting favors. Yeah.
And then, as that whole thing exploded into the media, and people were getting real pissed about it, you have this other group this is primarily in the Republican Party, the half-breeds, mm-hmm. who is basically the opposite. Like, hey, like, come on, the government's going to get too big if we're just handing out jobs and making up positions for our friends and things like that. So we need to have people, if they're going to work in the government, it has to be based on like merit, not, you know, because they did a cool thing for me even during the Civil War. When
Your cousin Timmy's
yeah.
nephew needs a job, so I'm going to make him assistant deputy director of government affairs at the Treasury Department in Bumblescum, Texas. You know, and pay him what's a lot of money in 1880, $12 a month. I don't know.
So you have James Blaine, and then you have Ulysses S. Grant tries to get back in it.
I'm still in it. Yeah, I'm still ready to roll.
He left pretty unpopular with the way
his entire cabinet was corrupt
yeah.
and stole everyone's money, including his.
Yes.
That makes him unpopular.
And he's like, hey, I can do it now.
That wasn't me, guys.
Yeah.
A lot of guys tried it.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
It wasn't me.
And then I mentioned before in our last episode, but the Greenback Party is, the Ross Perot, the Ralph Nader party, basically. It's just this makeshift populist party of, you know, oh, we're for the working man, but it doesn't really go anywhere. But they do throw a guy in there. So
because the working man's doing all right at this point.
Yeah.
Or better than he was.
Right, yeah. So it's kind of interesting because at this point, the economy with the Grant, there's a whole depression and everything. And with Hayes, it was like, okay, it was recovering, and now we're really in the Gilded Age where things are going to be heating up way more, and money's being paid everywhere. And on top of that, there's a lot of monopolies and a lot of corruption in that. But hey, at least there's less people eating the grass.
Yeah, there's less grazing.
Yeah,
so that's always good. Yeah, what's his name? Winfield Scott Hancock,
and then he was the Democrat nominee. So.
Yeah. A full field,
which is interesting because he was a Union general who led in Pickett's charge. So, yeah, it's a kind of an interesting turnaround. How
the whole slavery thing wasn't that bad. Wasn't as bad as I thought.
So, kind of a both sidesy kind of thing.
They're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel in the Democratic Party.
Yeah. So, I mean, Democrats haven't won an election in about 20 years at this point. So,
that's a long time.
It's just one after the other until Grover Cleveland. So.
No, guys, we don't want you. We'll take Andrew Johnson.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. See our episode about that if you want to hear us tear into him.
Yeah.
But yeah. So James Garfield. I mean, they show up. If you haven't seen anyone watching this, definitely check out the show Death by Lightning on Netflix. It's about this whole thing with James Garfield. Literally, about him. If you don't know much about him, you probably do if you clicked on this video, but he doesn't live very long into his presidency, so it kind of goes from the election into the 6 months until he ends up dying. And so, but he ends up getting, as they're counting at the RNC, his name ends up getting thrown in. He wasn't even trying to.
Yeah, there was like a tie, or it was like 49%. 50%, and then James Garfield.
Yeah, right.
And then
they have James Garfield.
They have to re-vote, and it's like, I actually do like that James Garfield guy, and he had a really good reputation in DC for being really smart and not a dick, and like wanting civil service reform. And
he was friends with Frederick Douglass. So
again, I'm Frederick. Hello, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Goodbye again. I'll see you again.
Anyone who's friends with Frederick Douglass is friends with me. So
it's the hair.
He's just what a guy.
What a character. He was pre-Civil War, popped in at the end of at the beginning of Reconstruction, walked away for 20 years. Hey, came back in.
Yeah.
When does he die? Is he still alive? Morgan Freeman is secretly Frederick Douglass. Yeah. I'm still around. Yeah. I don't have a good Morgan Freeman. Anyways.
Anyway, go ahead. So they're revoting and stuff.
Yeah, so they revote, but James Garfield's name gets thrown in with one vote. And, they read these votes out and they're like, Garfield. That wouldn't be that bad, actually.
It kind of goes to show how unpopular the other candidates were.
Everyone sucks.
Yeah.
They're useful as basketball helmets. Get these jokers out of here and get a bookworm who knows how to use a gun. And so they revote, and he gets a few more. And they revote, and it snowballs, and he eventually wins the Republican primary, and he becomes the candidate.
Yeah. So that's...
Which is a good sign.
Yeah, that's our race.
If you walk into a room and someone mentions your name and it wasn't on the table before, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, totally, that guy. That's a good sign. That's a good start.
Yeah, there's a funny scene in the Death is Lightning thing where his wife isn't really wanting him to get that involved with politics.
They never do.
Yeah, and he's like, look, I'm just, because he was also trying to run for U.S. representative at the same time as this and everything, and so he's like, this is all I'm going to be doing, and then he leaves, and then he comes back as the presidential nominee.
Honey, put the roast on. I'm going to the White House.
So, yeah, it's a bummer he died.
Yeah.
But I guess before we get to that, why don't we go ahead and switch over to the map.
Pull up the map.
There's an interesting story on why it's the way it is. Up before this,
South is back.
it was South plus like New York, South plus like for the Democrat, Indiana, or like something like that, where it's still kind of creeping into the North. A huge reason why we now see this is going to basically be the map for the next till the 1950s, basically. So, the reason we see it this way is on the campaign trail. One of the big debates was what to do with tariffs, and what Winfield Scott Hancock wanted to do was just say, okay, no, we need no tariffs, and like it's just too expensive and all this stuff. So, and Garfield was like, well, no, we need tariffs because we need to generate more jobs and keep bumping our economy up to where it's at now. And a lot of Northern Democrats favored Garfield because so many Northern Democrats, especially at this time, were immigrants and were, from Ireland, a lot of Catholics and things like that. And so they're like, well, yeah, I just got here. I want job security if I'm going to be living in this country. So yeah, let's go with tariffs because I don't want my job to be outsourced overseas.
Should we detour and talk about what tariffs are and what they do?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
We don't have to if we don't want to.
No, it's fine.
Tariffs is a big thing. It's a hot button issue.
I figured everyone kind of knows based on the...
You'd think that.
Within
everyone thinks
this
they know.
Current administration, but go ahead.
Everyone thinks they know. So basically what a tariff is, tariffs are taxes on imported goods. Let's pick steel because it's usually raw goods. It's not usually like t-shirts. It's usually steel or coal or whatever. So let's pick steel from Japan. If Japan has a booming steel industry, and we don't have a big steel industry anymore in modern times, we used to, Pittsburgh, we have to buy our steel, which is a critical infrastructure piece, from another country, and that other country can charge us basically whatever they want to charge us because they know that we need to buy it from them. A tariff basically says we are going to, if you are buying one of those goods, they're called commodities basically, if you buy one of those products from overseas, you will have to pay X percentage more for it than if you were to buy it domestically. So that encourages manufacturers to buy their raw goods from almost exclusively domestic, but you can also do like friendly tariffs to allied nations. So if you buy Japanese steel, you're going to pay an extra 10%. If you buy British steel, you'll only pay 3%. If you buy American steel, you'll pay 0 extra percent. So tariffs are a way to protect your domestic trade and get people to buy more of your own product, which stimulates that industry and causes, well, we're getting 100 times more steel orders because now the government has made it cheaper to buy American steel than any other foreign steel. So they ramp up production, there's more jobs, and there's more industry coming from your own country. So that's what a tariff is supposed to do.
So that's where you have all these immigrants who would normally vote Democrat in the North are like, okay, if that's the winning issue, basically. So now that does accidentally basically change the electoral map to where you have that hard South and you got that real strong North. And kind of the interesting news with that, though, is it makes it easier for Republicans to win.
Yeah, they're much more populated.
Yeah, right. So it ends up kind of doing...
Yeah, how many Belgian immigrants do you find in Florida?
Yeah.
They're all in New York and Boston.
And,
yep. That Ellis Island is the port of entry, so...
Yeah,
well, I don't have very much money. I might as well hang out here. It's a big city. There's opportunities here. I'm not going to travel 1,000 miles out of my way unless I really want to be a cattle farmer.
Forgot to mention, too, a month before the election, we actually had the debut of the October surprise.
Ooh, I love a good October surprise.
Yeah. So you have this letter that ends up being forged.
About like all good October surprises.
About James Garfield saying... We'll get more into this once we get to Chester Arthur. But basically, he's going to... take all the restrictions away and just keep relying on restrictions away from Chinese immigration and rely on Chinese labor. And so, which of course would make a lot of working class people upset. And so there was a ton of ballots with this picture of it on it all spread out, and fortunately, fortunately, it doesn't actually swing the election, and it does later get proved false that he did not actually sign that. It was this planned with his signature on it, but he was able to prove that it wasn't actually his handwriting. So, 1st October surprise.
Yeah. Yeah. The Transcontinental Railroad was
we're talking about all the nice stuff before the bad.
Yeah, before it all goes to pot. So at this time, like, before this, there's really two main ways of getting places. It's walking or riding a horse, or a cart pulled by a horse, a horse and buggy type thing. And starting in like the early 1800s, now we started getting railroad systems, but they were very limited. They take a long time to build. They take a lot of materials to build. And if you didn't remember, we had a bunch of stuff going on between 1850 and 1864. So building a railroad that transcontinental across the continent from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast, and terminated, I think, in San Francisco, California, somewhere in California. And that was made primarily with Chinese immigrant labor. And I mean, they were good workers, and they worked hard, and they didn't cost a lot. And the Transcontinental Railroad was not only just an infrastructure win where, like, hey, we can just, a trip that would have taken weeks to do with a horse now takes days to get goods and people and mail and letters and all. Well, that's what mail is. From one side of the country to the other. So that's a major infrastructure win, but also like a national pride win. Like, look at this big crazy thing. Like, we had to drill through mountains, and we had to build bridges across rivers. A massive, massive undertaking with a whole bunch of smaller railroads going off of it. Like, this is the sauce for America. But they did not like that it was like mostly Chinese workers who did it. Just because no one likes it when it's not you who does something cool, I guess, basically. So, yeah, but that is a big factor, is the Transcontinental Railroad.
Yeah. I think there's, well, I'll save some of it for Chester Arthur.
Save some for Chucky.
But yeah, so only a few months into his presidency, and there's someone who we haven't mentioned yet, is Charles Guiteau. And he is this weird, paranoid, schizophrenic guy who ends up having this huge celebrity crush on James Garfield.
Who doesn't, really? Yeah,
tries to go out campaigning for him just independently. Garfield doesn't know who he is, really. He meets him once after he gets elected president and asks for a job.
Yeah, wasn't it like ambassador to Belgium or something?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Something he had no business, number one, asking for, because Garfield was notoriously against the spoils system.
Yeah. So
why would you ask the guy who is against the exact thing you're asking for to do the thing he said he's not going to do? So there's that. That's the first sign that he's crazy. And like a crazy high level position, like, I helped get you elected. Yeah. You should make me ambassador to France. It's like, absolutely not. I mean, that is kind of what happens, but absolutely not, crazy person. You have to be less crazy publicly to get that appointment.
Yeah, so he kind of ends up blowing him off, and it really
bites him in the back.
Yeah. Speaking of the back, he ends up seeing him. Garfield is at a train station, and Charles Guiteau comes up behind him and shoots him in the back, and the bullet is still inside him. And it's not a death wound.
No, this is the worst part of the whole thing.
Yeah, this is the saddest part. Is the only reason why he dies, and it takes a few months for it to happen, is because there is this the Dr. D. Willard Bliss is.
See, he has his initial in the wrong spot. That's how you know.
And he what he tries to do, he's not sanitary at all. He sticks his dirty fingers inside the gaping hole and tries to find where the bullet is, because that's the problem, is they're trying to get the bullet out. And he gets a metal detector, tries to find it through there, and which seems like a logical thing to do, except for James Garfield sleeping on a spring bed, and it's throwing the metal detector off.
Good Lord!
Somehow it's
in his blood.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, I'm getting a sign here, beep beep beep, and he goes in and he's like, no, not there, and he's getting and ends up just building this huge infection. And fortunately, it takes like a couple months until he finally dies. And
will you please just shoot me again? This really sucks.
Charles Guiteau ends up getting hanged, and that's the
end of
that. So
James Garfield. It is a true what if presidency. Kind of like Lincoln. We knew what he was going to do. He had kind of already started it. There are some conspiracies around like, because ending the spoils system means that people who are outside the government or inside the party but not actually elected, they lose a lot of power and influence. If I can't hand out federal jobs like candy for favors or votes or influence here and there, then I lose a big lever of influence. So they are very fringe. Charles Littell was basically just a crazy person who had crazy ideas. But it has been floated that maybe someone got to him and said, you should ask him for this job.
No.
Because like, probably not. There's no reason to think that he was anything other than a crazy person.
Yeah, he was a part of this weird like orgy cult thing.
Those are the best kinds.
He has an odd past.
He was a stable gentleman, we could tell.
Yeah, he ended up robbing his family, stealing all their savings on his way to Washington, D.C. to embark on this new adventure he was doing. He was in an asylum before also. So he has quite the history.
The orgy cult guy was in an asylum? No. You don't say. Well, once a crackhead, always a crackhead. I mean, tweakers suck.
Yeah.
Even 19th century tweakers.
So, yeah, all right, we got our fourth president who dies in office.
Yes, second assassination.
Yeah, second assassination. Fourth president who dies in office. And so now we have Chester Arthur, basically a mafia mob boss who becomes president.
Yeah. Good old Chuck.
Who ends up he does the right thing.
He does the right thing. Yeah. So Chester Arthur, basically when Garfield dies, everyone's like, okay, who's next? It's Arthur. And like, oh, sweet. This is our guy. He got into power, all his influence through all those corrupt bargains.
Very pro-spoils system.
Yes,
so
he
opposite.
is the guy. Again, kind of like a Lincoln Johnson kind of thing, where it's like, oh, it's kind of the opposite of me. I don't know how you got in here, but whatever. So they're just licking their chops. Like, finally, the good times are going to continue to roll with our guy now as the president, and he kind of does not a full 180. Maybe like a 75 degree turn. He doesn't just let everyone run amok. He does kind of put some light limits on it. He really establishes the civil service.
Yep.
Which
is the spoil system stuff. Getting rid of that is the Civil Service Reform Act.
Yes. So that basically said, and I think it was only for like 10% of the federal workforce, or like a very small percentage of it, where you have to like take tests to prove that you are actually like a good employee, you are capable and smart, and you have a background that means that you would do a good job as a federal employee. And even though it was only a little percentage of it, the fact that now there is a law and it sets precedent that, hey, this isn't just a gravy train. We actually do need to do some work for the people. We're using the people's money to do it. So after Garfield died, the people knew that he was against the spoils system. And like I said in the last episode, people don't like knowing that their government is openly corrupt and you can just buy someone, you can bribe politicians pretty much openly. Like, it's an open secret that people are bought and paid for. No one likes that. So when Garfield comes in and says, we're not doing that anymore, people are like, okay, cool. That seems like the right thing to do. He dies. And then the people are like, man, the system, like, we can't do this anymore. What are we going to do? And now we got Chester in here. He's their guy. I don't know if he, was just moved by that, or if he actually got in and was like, yeah, this actually isn't a good way to run. Yeah,
well, he didn't really want to be vice president and actually tried to resign.
Who wants to be vice president? What do you do all day?
And
sit in the Senate.
Yeah, basically. But he ends up being convinced to stay. This is before Garfield was killed. And, brought up by Roscoe Conkling. Is this huge corrupt mafia boss.
Roscoe Conkling.
Yeah, the mafia final boss of politicians.
From New York.
Yeah,
the
in
seat
New York.
of corruption.
And
it's like Gotham City.
Yeah. And, think of corrupt top hats and...
Yeah. This was the Monopoly man?
Yeah.
It's Conklin.
Chops.
Yes.
And so, but when he ends up coming in, he signs the Pendleton
Civil Service Reform.
So that... pretty quick, about within the first about year and a half of when it actually gets signed in.
Mm-hmm.
And he, little side note before we get into the Chinese Exclusion Act.
You know all those good things I said about the Chinese a second ago?
Yeah. So he he's a big mafia. I keep comparing to the mafia, but they like nice expensive things.
Yeah.
They like nice jewelry, they like nice homes, they like nice fancy restaurants. So he basically takes that and creates the White House with it. Lovely. So the modern look of the ballrooms, the ballroom.
We're gonna build.
Yeah.
We're gonna tear down that old White House. We're gonna build an amusement park. There's already a bowling alley in the White House.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so making it way more bright, way more light, way more luscious with the. I mean, I've seen before and after stuff with the with the chairs, the tables, the curtains. I mean, it's like he's
making it a palace.
Yes,
basically. And you know what?
Good on him.
Good on him.
Yeah.
I like the White House.
The White House should look.
It should look nice. I mean, it was basically just like an office building.
It was a swamp before.
It was a swamp. Then it was a swamp with an office building in it, and it wasn't even a good one. And then it burned down.
Yeah.
And then we built another slightly less crappy office building, but still pretty crappy. And now it looks like the seat of American power and authority, and people can come and, I don't know, get bribed, I guess. Yeah. I don't know what they do in there.
It's just his style. So.
And history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. A rich New Yorker says, the drapes.
Yeah.
Right. What is this? We need more gold toilets. Come on, guys.
It does make sense for it to be New York.
And there's something about it.
Also we start seeing an improvement of the Navy as well. So
make the ships out of metal.
Yeah.
A lot of guys use wooden ships, not our guys.
Yeah, so he does want it was like 11 steel warships. Congress ends up passing 4. So he's it's a start.
I want 11 billion. You get 4.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah.
It's a start.
And so then if you want to get into the
no, please,
if you want to do that voice for the Chinese Exclusion.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay, anyway, we'll move on.
The Chinese Exclusion Act happened,
yes.
And that's the end of his presidency.
Yeah. So immigration from China greatly increases. And this is kind of, I think much of his presidency relies on if you like this or not, if you're pro this or not. This is kind of what everything we've talked about up to this point is pretty much been forgotten in history, except for the Chinese Exclusion.
For this thing.
Yeah. So when you have a lot of immigrants coming and they're it's not, like from Europe or something like that. This is a completely different nation with different value set, different language. It can, I think we're still seeing that, especially maybe it's been brought up again on assimilation and, what does it actually mean to be an American? Yeah. Anyone can come in here. So it's kind of like a version of that, but maybe a little more racist.
A lot more racist.
And so he ends up signing this to not only limit, but just ban immigration from China and Chinese laborers for about a decade. And this ends up actually staying in effect for a while, like decades. So,
it's a good law.
Yeah.
Don't let it sunset. Yeah, it's a legitimate point. Regardless of your personal opinion about it, it's a legitimate question. Not every country, not every people group has the same values or culture or priorities that another one does. That's just a true thing. It's not even making a value judgment on whether one is better or worse. The issue is, just like with Reconstruction, what is this group's values? What is the other group's values? And where do they overlap? Where can we find common ground? And where are they so different that, like, a big thing is like honor and shame culture.
Yeah.
America, Western Europe doesn't really have that. We have like a guilt culture. Like, I feel bad, but like the town doesn't come and be like, shame on you, and you feel shame and you are publicly shamed. Like, that's a Eastern, like Asia.
Would you say
thing.
I guess the European is more individualistic?
It is. It's more, and even in the family structure, like multi-generational, like that is a thing in like the Mediterranean for sure. But like the family structure and ancestry and heritage and all that stuff, it's very, very strong in Asia and kind of the Eastern Pacific, and it matters to Americans and Europeans, but like the driving force of it, like if grandma tells you to do something, you have to do it. Versus grandpa tells you to do something and you can call grandpa a crazy old coot and not do it and nothing happens to you. Like those base fundamental things that are different. Mm-hmm. And like from an economic standpoint, these guys are willing to work for less. They're willing to work in terrible conditions.
That's a big thing too, is the economic drive of, they'll come in here and work for literally anything.
We can throw them in mountains and blow them up with dynamite and whatever, we'll get another shipment of them tomorrow. Like it was terrible, but that's honestly like for people like the robber barons, the JP Morgans, the Rockefellers, it's like how quickly and cheaply can we get this done? If we use American workers, they're going to cost us double. And they're going to want, like, not their fingers blown off. Mm-hmm. That is bad for business. If I import a whole bunch of workers from a different place that don't care about those things, then that means I don't have to pay them as much. They work in conditions other workers won't work in. And we get the price. For that price, and we get the job done. And I pocket the difference. Like, this is a win-win. Mm-hmm. And the native population, because we're talking about America, and, like, there's obvious, like, questions and parallels to modern America, but this is the same for any people group. Like if a bunch of Americans went to Korea and just started doing stuff that like
didn't make sense
to native Koreans and was like, we don't do things like that here, why are you doing that? It's like, we're Americans and that's just kind of how we do stuff, and what, you have a problem with that? It's like, actually we do have a problem with that. This is our country and you can't just do what you want. You're like a guest visitor worker here.
It's like if you're going to come to our country, you need to adapt to what we are.
Yeah, it's like a shoes on, shoes off kind of house. Yeah. It's like if you are a shoes off house and I walk in with my muddy boots, like it's a disrespect thing. Like I'm not following the rules of your domain, whatever they are. It's my choice whether to go to that place or not. But if I'm going there, you need to be a good host and I need to be a good guest. And if I am not a good guest and I take advantage of your hospitality, that's rude. Mm-hmm. But also, that's not universally true in every culture. It's like, I'm just who I am and I'm going to do what I do, and if you don't like it, then that's tough tomatoes for you. So it's a people thing.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. And we made a law about it.
It's kind of, it's kind of the first time this gets brought up in a large scale thing. I think this isn't something I've come across. I mean, I knew about this, but from everything all the videos we've done at this point, this just hasn't... That
hasn't really come up. And it's not like there hasn't been immigration.
Yeah.
There's been immigration from all over the place, but primarily Europe.
Well, and that's probably part of it, too, is just the sheer volume.
Yes, it's millions of people.
Yeah.
Like, the population of every major city, of the country itself, like, went up, like, 20% in 10 or 15 years. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't build enough houses to deal with a 20% increase in population. Like, there's not enough hospitals. The roads aren't wide enough to deal with all the people. So we're all crammed together, and I don't understand what you're saying, and you don't do things the way I like to do them. Like, in their minds, at least the Irish, like, have a vaguely similar, like, sense of how things are done, because we came from Europe, and we have just continued to do things like they do in Europe, more or less. Like, we drink coffee instead of tea, but whatever. But, like, in general, we do roughly the same things.
It's okay.
I'm just making a point. Like, it's not a good or bad thing. It's just people do things differently, and we're frightened baby chipmunks. We don't like things that are different. Yeah. People don't like things that are different.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's the okay, I can understand that point, but, and there's the bad side of it, too, where people are like, I just don't want people who don't look like me living around me and stuff like that. And that 100% was also a thing.
So, that was definitely a thing.
And so this was kind of Arthur's way of, all right, we'll just go with this.
No more Chinese, I guess.
Yeah, I guess we'll just go with this. So, stemmed by actual economic questions, and also stemmed things by racism and stuff. So
it's a multifaceted thing.
There was kind of an idea too. It didn't end up happening as much as people thought it would, where wages would increase like way more if you did this. They did. There's a little bit where that happened, but it didn't make a difference in the way that it was promoted to be.
Yeah, JP Morgan is going to pay you double just because he's just going to hire someone who will work for less.
Yeah,
I don't care what they look like. I care how much they cost.
Yeah. So, okay, we're canceled now anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just cut it now.
He ends up not running for an actual term. He just finishes out. He basically serves Garfield's term. But
3 years and
6 months.
6 months.
Yeah. But doesn't run because he has what's called Bright's disease, which has to do with kidney failure. Mm-hmm. And so he doesn't run and ends up dying only a couple years later. So I guess it was a good call. Only 57, but yeah. I mean, I think there was still some doubt on, the political reformers of, the Garfield wing and everything, not having full trust with Chester Arthur. But so I don't know. I don't know if he would have been the nominee. Who knows? But
probably not. I mean, he cut the knees out of the spoil system, and that we had a good thing going, man. Like, you're not getting a second term to mess that up more for us. Like, no, probably not. But we'll never know, I guess.
Yeah. So, all right. I guess that does it with both of them.
That's
I think
Chester and I almost said Andrew.
Yeah.
And James.
Yeah. Now we got Grover Cleveland.
I always think of Sesame Street.
Anyway, thanks everyone for watching and sticking with us. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Please don't hate us for talking about the Chinese exclusion.
Yeah.
It's just a thing that happened. We're just trying to talk about it. I didn't make it.